And joining us tonight, Congressman Matt Gaetz, a member of the House Judiciary and Armed Services Committees, and stalwart throughout, defending the president and calling for justice from the Department of Justice and the FBI through the Obama era and beyond. Thank you very much for being with us, Congressman. Good to see you. Your reaction first to the motion to dismiss charges against General Flynn.
It's great to see honor restored to General Flynn's good name. The media didn't have any honor to begin with, and the only way to bring it back to the Department of Justice is to see these prosecutions through to ensure that the people who engaged in this activity are never able to frame someone like they framed General Flynn ever again. The boomerang has really come back on a lot of these House Democrats. Adam Schiff and Nancy Pelosi have egg on their face. You and I have been telling people, Lou, for 3 years that this wasn't a crime. It was a cover-up for the fact that Democrats were actually colluding with Russians through Christopher Steele, his subsources, and the fact that his subsources were the targets of Russian intelligence. Everything we've said has been proven true, and Adam Schiff is now a man who was caught in a lie and then used an impeachment over Ukraine to cover up that lie.
And still lying. Saying today, as in response to the motion to dismiss, that General Flynn still was lying as a result of the investigation by the FBI and the Justice Department, which is patently untrue. Lying was James Comey and all of those at the top of the Obama era Department of Justice and the FBI agency itself. Your thoughts about Adam Schiff? You know him very well.
Look, history will not be kind to what these folks did to our country, to our president. And if you really think about it, it demonstrates how the house of cards has come falling down. We would always show the bias, the evidence of mistreatment. And then the Democrats would say, yeah, well, Flynn pled guilty. Now you see that was all based on this phony setup done by the FBI. But here's I think, a bigger issue, Lou. If you zoom out from Michael Flynn, you see a common trend. Folks were trying to set up the people who might be close to the president, whether that was Michael Flynn, George Papadopoulos, Roger Stone, Donald Trump Jr., Corey Lewandowski, any of these folks that got wrapped into having to respond to the Mueller investigation were largely there to try to create leverage against the president. The only reason we know that to be the case for certain with Flynn is because someone actually wrote it down. But it's not as if Comey and that whole cabal tried to frame Flynn and then didn't try it against anyone else. It's precisely why they tried it in these other cases. The only person that they really got the leverage against was Michael Cohen, because he had some dirty business with the taxi cab medallions that he couldn't really answer for. But for the most part, everyone else told the truth. They didn't fall for the traps, and now we're really starting to see who the real criminals are. And I think these prosecutions that are upcoming will further illuminate that.
Well, as I said earlier on the broadcast, it is nice to see a U.S. attorney, Jensen, who made the decision to move the motion to dismiss against the general. This is the beginning of what appears to be William Barr's reform of the U.S. Justice Department. It is great to see your reaction.
I am very heartened by the determination that the Attorney General has shown. But I still think that at the end of the day, Lou, this can't all end with a series of reports that say, well, people broke the law, but they're not really going to jail. That does not do it. That is not a sufficient antidote to the virus that was down on the Department of Justice, during the beginning of the Trump presidency and during the Trump transition. And so I think that to fully eradicate that, we're actually going to need to see criminal process brought against the people who were directing these illegal acts. And James Comey has essentially admitted to it. He said that he took advantage of the fact that it was a new government in transition and got away with something he never would have gotten away with otherwise, and that was the framing of Michael Flynn. But Flynn wasn't the only one. They tried it over and over again, and I don't think a single person should spend a day in jail as a consequence of the Mueller investigation because it was built on a rotten foundation. Mueller really should have been investigating those subsources of the Steele dossier and figuring out their collusion with the Democrats and the DNC and Glenn Simpson and the Perkins law firm.
More to come. Congressman Matt Gaetz, thanks so much. Good to see you.